last note. We've been going very A's Raiders here. Last note before we get into Kings. This is from the 831 from our guy Trey. See if he's got sources, he got sauces or not, Chris.
Trey area?
Just letting y'all know now.
Uh-oh.
My boy plays blackjack with Tay,
Devontae
a.k.a. Devontae, out here in Cali on a boat. Tay wants no part of this Raiders mess. Just letting y'all know.
Ooh.
That's from Trey, 831. Keep an eye on it.
Huh.
Thank you, Trey.
It's got to be loud. He's got to start being Devontae Adams, that is. He needs to start being loud about it.
Better do it now.
Yeah.
Better do it now.
He already tried, remember? He said last year in an interview that he did not like that Jimmy Garoppolo was quarterback of the Raiders.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Well, that was...
Remember that. Wow. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he said it the entirety of the receiver shows.
Well, and that was now you have a situation where he maybe thought maybe they would get a Caleb Wood or somebody, and they did not.
Just not Gardner Minshew.
Right.
The list is, if I remember, Derek Carr, Jarrett Stidham, Jimmy Garoppolo, Aiden O'Connell, Brian Hoyer, back to Aiden O'Connell, and now Gardner Minshew.
I'll never forget when Jarrett Stidham cooked. What was that on New Year's? I thought they might have something here. Yeah. They did not. All right, Chris, happy birthday to one Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray, 24 years of age. This is from Frankie Cardicelli. Happy birthday to Keegan Murray, whose 389 career threes are the second most of any NBA player through his first two seasons, only trailing Damian Lillard. And then Frankie has a clip from the Jazz game where Keegan dropped 12 of those bad boys. Keegan just has these random, and I know a lot of players do, but Keegan is in some rare air with some of these stats that he has, which I do think is part of the reason I find his ceiling to be somewhat confusing, because he just has random stats where he's compared to guys like Damian Lillard, and then he's got other stats that compare him to other greats in the game. Give me your assessment at 24 years of age. Give me your assessment of Keegan Murray and just how good this dude could be.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still trying to figure out exactly how good he can be. I think that's the toughest part about Keegan right now is trying to determine ultimately what you think his ceiling can be. And I think that's just a pointless exercise, or not a pointless, but it's just a really tough exercise to get an actual answer to. So, I mean, we can just talk about what he's great at right now. I mean, we know he's a phenomenal spot up shooter. I think he's still working on the off the dribble stuff. There's no reason from what we've seen so far to believe that won't come at some point here, as maybe as recently as this season. It could definitely come. But yeah, I mean, he's a 6'8", 6'9" guy who can create, I'll say create his own shot, more so in the sense of he can really hit some difficult contested threes. And of course he can hit wide open threes at a really high clip too. He's somebody who knows who he is, which I think is great for anybody who's entering their second or third year in the league. If you have an idea of what exactly you do at an NBA level and can just expand upon that, that's how you can at some point become great. To contrast, like Jonathan Kuminga, we still don't know what exactly Jonathan Kuminga is great at a pro level, and that's just an example of maybe somebody to the contrary of Keegan. I think the question is just also how much further can he go in his development? Like, I think his athleticism in terms of like his jumping ability and his speed, to me, is a bit topped off. Like, I don't think that, when a lot of people talk athleticism or ceiling or things like that, a lot of times it is connected directly to, we'll just go right back to the Jonathan Kuminga well. We don't know what Jonathan Kuminga does well, but we know that he is such an outlier of an athlete.
Right.
Odds are he can figure something out at this level that he can contribute to. I think that's the question with Keegan, is just, okay, we know exactly what you're great at. Is there going to be anything else that surprises us about what you can bring? And I think the defense was a bit of a surprise last year. And to me, the thing that could ultimately determine if Keegan can be somebody who breaks through the glass ceiling of what people think he can be is if he can start to actually attack the rim. That's really the part of his game that I think is lacking the most. Is we've seen him want to be aggressive around the rim and going for big time dunks, but he's got to figure out how to make layups and get crafty finishes and get Euro steps and things like that. That's really the next part, which also ties in with getting to the free throw line. He gets to the free throw line maybe one time a game, and that's how you really improve as a scorer. And if Keegan is going to be a scorer in this league at that level, he's got to figure out how to get to the free throw line at least 2 different trips a game.
Yeah, when I look at Keegan Murray, obviously we know what he can do as far as shooting the basketball. And I would say that bringing in somebody like DeMar DeRozan, it just forces the hand of the Sacramento Kings. And maybe the Sacramento Kings, maybe they wanted that. Maybe the front office, and that's in part why the reason they went after DeMar DeRozan, because they wanted somebody that's going to make them make some decisions. And with Keegan Murray, because he's got some shady athleticism, because he is still young, I do think that the Kings maybe were, I don't want to say afraid, but they didn't want to get caught up in, wait, could he be this or could he be that? Let's just bring in DeMar DeRozan and kind of push Keegan into a role. I do think that as long as of a runway that some people think players have, it can happen quick, right? And 1 second you have all this potential, the next second it's been 3 years, and who are you?
Sure.
Right. And I think that the Kings would rather bring in somebody like DeMar DeRozan and maybe force Keegan Murray into a role that he can be elite in, versus we're kind of floating. And I don't think, Chris, I don't think they could have went through another season like this past season where Keegan is kind of doing a lot of different things. It was the jack of all trades, master of none. I don't think that they looked at this past season. I think that they thought it was good for Keegan, but I think it was also eye-opening for them, and they didn't want to go through another season like that where it's, okay, is Keegan going to be is he going to be our shooter, our primary defender, and I do think he needs to get to the rack more, but I feel like he got stretched a little bit too thin this past season, and they didn't want that to happen again.
Yeah, I mean, I always kind of think that that's naturally going to be it, though. After your first season, and especially when you succeed at the level Keegan did, like you do have to push the limits. Like I think you have to figure out, okay, if he checked every box that we threw at him last year, let's start making those boxes a little bit tougher to clear. And I think even still last year, he checked a lot of the boxes, maybe not from an efficiency standpoint, but again, from like a proof of concept standpoint where, yeah, he wasn't great or excellent at creating shots off the dribble, but he did it, and he might have not looked comfortable a lot of the time, but he got to a point where he was making those shots, and you saw him start to take some mid-range jumpers instead of just kind of taking a contested 3, pump fake, and then take that step in and hit the easier shot. I kind of think that, yeah, I mean, this year was always going to be a big year for him. Year 3 is always really the proving season for these guys. You look at a guy like Scotty Barnes, kind of went through a same exact trajectory where rookie of the year, second year has a really down season. Year 3 kind of reverts back to the stardom that we saw in year 1. I think year 2 is always just that sophomore slump. It's that transition year where you have to figure out, okay, I succeeded at some things, didn't do great at others. Can I continue to build on that? Is this going to be an adjustment? Is the league going to adjust to me? So it's kind of, I think it's always going to be unfair to judge a guy off of his second season. And even then, Keegan improved his points per game. He improved as a defender. I think the question is, can he get the efficiency back up to where it was during his rookie season while still putting up the production and the numbers that he put up last year? Because 2 points per game jump is really good for a guy that I think a lot of people say, yeah, he took a leap, but it wasn't this massive next level leap that he could have gone to. And frankly, at age 24, he needs to be a little bit more well-rounded of a player than some of these other guys entering their third year. You kind of need to see Keegan start to really feel comfortable in his skin, and that's another thing to me. I mean, I've talked about it in the past, but his personality, I think some aspects of it don't need to change, but I think he does need to focus more on trying to get that competitive side of him out a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's a good point on what he did last season. Okay, let's see how far we can take it. I think that they got their answer, and some things got answered, some things did not. And now it's a matter of, all right, now that this season happened, we bring in a DeMar DeRozan where we can still get you to the next level, but we're not going to ask you to do
Mhm.
everything. We're
Yeah.
not going to ask you to do everything. So shout out to Keegan Murray. Happy birthday. And big season on the way. Big season,
Hopefully.
season 3 for Keegan Murray. Loading, as the kids say. Coming up next, we get to some more Kings notes as De'Aaron Fox welcomes someone else to his personal team. And we talk about DeMar DeRozan's summer workout plan. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
In a crisis, your number one